Yes. Start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at this one situation. My parents after scolded me for giggling too much on my phone, and to accidentally like them, it must just look like I listen to the love of my life, which make it more shameful when I have to explain to them that this is just a musician or YouTuber that I like to watch. I do love them until I can remember their birthdays, zodiac sign, even the number of the family. You cannot have this kind of situation because when you watch them, you feel happier. You develop a sort of relationship with them, feel like you're friends with them, feel like you know them well. Being in those kind of community, the celebrity or the influencer often have a very dedicated fan base, not only for their song, but also dedicated for them for a personal, meaning that they are often crazy stalker stories about how dare you are vandalizing theirs, even trying to break into their house. This is what we call as a parasocial relationship. It's a psychological relationship where a fan or a viewer develop a relationship with the media or influencer they adore. They think that they were close enough despite having a limited interaction due to the things that they put online. But guess what? Taylor Swift, Harry Styles, they do not even know that you exist. What could be the factor for a social relationship to sink in so many people? First, people with loneliness. It makes sense because when you're lonely, you crave interaction with others. You fear the social rejection that may take place in order to fulfill your loneliness. Why do we regret this? Because if you saying that it's only for the emotional fulfillment in order to replace your empty heart, it's not enough. You need someone real human to give you an appreciation about what you have done or go through, not only bergantung or not only depends for your idol. Otherwise, your idol has a plenty of fans. Then why do you need such a 0.0001% of chance that their affirmation is directly sending to you? Second factor is that people with self-esteem issue. On the screen, the idol are marketing linked to the someone who is perfect, Prince Charming, no acne like. There's no gap of defects, so you crave their perfection, which you don't get it in the real human life. We regret it because first, they will expect everybody in real life to become as perfect as their idol. They set the standard of having a boyfriend must be having a perfect job and multi-talent, blah blah blah. So they have a hard time finding their real life relationship. Second one is that they are satisfied with the perfection that they get in the parasocial of their idol. So they stop looking for a real life relationship altogether, meaning that they become more addicted and do whatever it takes to reach the idol. Panels, parasocial relationship is a relationship you form with someone who actually don't know by consuming media about that person. Let me give you an example. You might follow Taylor Swift on the Twitter and seeing her tweet talking about her favorite food, seeing her sense of humor, or talking about her family, right? But after you seeing the tweet, you may come to feel as a Taylor's friend. You become more feel that you really know her due to the information you got online or on the media. Another example, you might watch or like a stranger, and once you see them in the private time, you still things like you know what they feel, how they feel about what they gonna feel or how they will act and react in any given situation. You give them the instruction to act as you think that they will act. But no matter how hard you yell in front of your television or how well you feel like you know Taylor Swift doesn't know you exist. Because first, logically, you know that Taylor Swift has more than 30 until 50 million followers, and basically they're not directly talking and sending her private information to you. Secondly, logically, you know that you don't have two real side of relationship, but you have the belief that you have this gut of subconscious belief like the idol of Taylor Swift that Taylor Swift doesn't really know you. Jump to my argument. First, my point of argument is that first, the difference between big fan and parasocial relationship, which is so real that if you are a big fan, then you will only like the song, the craft, not really into their personal privacy information. You are not going to be distracted if you find out that your idol has a girlfriend or plans to get married. You are not going to be distracted by knowing that your idol example. But if it's not into parasocial relationship, first you will feel betrayed. If an idol is something beyond your expectation, having girlfriend plans to get married, no longer looking your career and so on, you feel betrayed. You feel that legacy. You always see them on the screen is someone who is market living your dream. Your dream partner is someone who is single and will act as your boyfriend. That's why you will feel betrayed because you already feel close to him, already want eternal life with the perfection that he display on the screen. Second one, they make you sick. You crave for the more attention in order to get the attention from your idol. Parasocial relationship is not only about those who feel SKSD by having this idol information through the media, meaning that they only have limited interaction, but also those who dedicated all of their time, their money, their time to attending concert, fan meeting, etc. They think that this has increased their chance that the idol will get to know them. Dedicated all of their money to get unnecessary things like what to buy a bottle of water that their idol drink, right? Third, you become more seeker, and worst scenario is that makes you a hater from a lover just because the betrayed feelings, the fact that your idol already has a girlfriend and you don't like that idea, you become aggressive and saying all the bad words that that you think that it will change the idol mind. So that's why we really regret because having a lot of hard work on the fans and also the idol side. So jumping to my second point of argument is that this parasocial relationship intensive searching for friends immediately disappear. Why? You expect people to behave the same as your idol. If someone doesn't behave like your idol, you won't be with him. What you don't know is that the face your idol show in the screen is that their best version of themselves to act as an actor. If they show their human side, the public will assume that he is not a good public figure because it will watch by all group of age. So that's why idol only show their best version of themselves, and we regret that you will expect all the perfection of your idol to get into friendship and relationship. So to pass my argument, that's why we really have to propose. Thank you.
So the Prime Minister spent time 7 minutes 8 seconds. Jadi itu tadi speech dari Prime Minister atau pembicara pertama dari opening government. Jadi kalau misalnya tadi sudah satu kali, sorry tadi mungkin tidak kedengaran kalau sudah 1 menit. Jadi nanti selanjutnya saya akan tunggu 1 kali kalau sudah 1 menit. Kalau di POI itu tergantung dari yang bicara, apakah dia mau terima atau enggak. Tapi kalau sudah 3 kali POI itu harus diterima sama si speaker yang lagi bicara. Terus kalau misalnya memberikan POI itu misalnya tuh tadi Sakina maju, terus dikasih POI sama Yudi itu cuma boleh bicara selama 15 detik untuk POI, untuk interupsi kayak gitu. So langsung saja. From opening opposition, leader of opposition, please welcome Yudi. Start dulu.
Yeah, check. So, I'm going to start speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels position proves that why in status quo you are easily can get the partner in status quo, ladies and gentlemen. Because in OO we can prove to you that in the status quo you have to pursuing the relationship in the status quo, ladies and gentlemen. Two responses before moving to my sultan is first, the moment they see that Taylor Swift are not know that you are exist in a status quo. Two responses. A, they cannot explain why in pursuing a relationship it should be exist because we say in the side of the house in love you can pursue in love and you can feel the sense of love without existing, we don't know the existence of these kinds of people, right? But second responses, they say that you expect your idol to have a song with you and so on and so forth. They cannot explain to you what kinds of expectation that sometimes happens in the status quo, ladies and gentlemen. Hence, their argument should be elaborated in DBM. In DBM, what is the problem in status? What is the problem in status quo? We say that the relationship are inaccessible. There are three explanations about it. First, we say that in the status quo, there's a standard that you should force. A, if you are smart and have a good face, you are easily can get partner like Adipati Dolken. But if you are not like Adipati Dolken, for example, you have to having a relationship because maybe some of girls hate you and so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. But B, in Makassar, for example, there is a uang panai that men should give a billion money to women the moment they want to like having a marriage with these kinds of women, for example. But thirdly, ladies and gentlemen, in a society norm, the moment you are fresh graduate, for example, in UNHAS, for example, your mother force you to having a marriage, maybe because your mother maybe say that yeah, saying to with and now and so on and so forth. It concludes that in the certain house there is a forcing, there's a standard that you should force for in the first place. But second, we say in the problems in status quo, there's the intersexuality. If you're a woman and have a small income, you are always getting a discrimination, for example. But third is we live in capitalism where money is something that the numbers first. If you're having a partner, your partners are having the interest productivity. Maybe they have the job, for example. Maybe they have the other family, for example. Maybe they have the friends, for example. What is the impact? Maybe your partner are not having the significant time for you to like pursuing your life in a status quo. What is our goal, ladies and gentlemen? There are two. Our goal is number one, instead of pursuing relationship in real life, we want to pursue the passionate relationship. What is the passionate relationship? You love your idol, Tyler Swift, or in case me, loving Nadine Amida, for example. But our love in our mind, not directly want to marriage with Nadine Amida, for example. But second, in our life, ladies and gentlemen, there's also condition that you can pursuing the relationship. What is the comparative? Yes, before that.
Can you explain the difference between talking to person for relationship and trying to control check and balance the behavior of your artist?
Yes, I will explain in my second example. So what is the comparative in our head, ladies and gentlemen? The comparative in under OO, there's no judgment the moment you want to pursue the personal relationship, ladies and gentlemen. There's also that society cannot hate you the moment you love your idol and you love your idol and giving the anything that you see, ladies and gentlemen. So, one argument in myself, why this justifiable? In status quo, you cannot depend on your other people like your friends or your family even. Two, your friends also have their own family. Second, your family also they have their own responsibility, work, anything, such money, for example, and so on and so forth. Why is bad? It leads to people feel lonely towards themselves. So here's the reasons why we should not neglect these kinds of relationship. A, because there is a sense of ownership, ladies and gentlemen. In personal relationship, individuals often feel like they have the part of the famous persons that they admire. They may collect items related to the celebrity or regularly or follow this sometimes of their activity to begin with itself. What is the impact? A, if you are follow the activity, for example, you can understand what are these kinds of what are your idol do to begin with. What is the impact? You cannot feel lonely, ladies and gentlemen. But why this is good? A, if you're having an idol, you have the people that become your role model. That your role model for example, government might say this is also happens in real life. But what is the comparative? In our side, at least these kinds of our partner or our idol are not having expectations for me, are not having the give me the expectations in pursuing their life. In government such as the House, ladies and gentlemen, there's also expectation that you should fulfill, like company and so on and so forth, ladies and gentlemen. But second reason why this is idle with the principle of law. What is the interest of people in pursuing the law? Two, you feel comfort towards your partner. B, you feel that your partner can achieve your goal in the side of the house, ladies and gentlemen. Why in government this is not happen? A, the moment your partner in real life are having the other interest, other work, for example, you are not feel comfort. Even in worst scenario, ladies and gentlemen, there's a toxic relationship that you can achieve that can exist in our side, ladies and gentlemen. But that is there's a backup community. You, maybe you, me, and you having the some idol that you love, ladies and gentlemen. You can share with them and getting the support towards to like having the feel to solving your feel lonely to begin with itself. So what is the so sometimes in OG they experience that these kinds of people are doing the extreme the extreme things to like getting the idol to begin with itself. We say no, because why? This is not happen. Because in status quo, there are many things that fans are doing the extreme case. What's the impact? These kinds of idol are cancel these kinds of fans. So in our side, the status quo are progressive, and these kinds of people are not getting the extreme case because they don't want to cancel by the idol itself. Only must prove why in the side of the house they are really having the.
Oke, itu tadi. So, leader of opposition spend time 7 minutes 28 second. Oke, jadi kalau itu tadi yang panjang saya nggak tepuk tangan itu menandakan sudah lewat nih waktunya dari speaker seharusnya bicara, kayak gitu. Jadi itu tadi. Next, Deputy Prime Minister, second speaker dari Open Government. Please welcome Asia.
Set up my timer first. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The people who live on the opposition side of the house are people who are in their comfort zone. People who are looking at other people online or on their screen saying that, hey, you are my friend, you are my wife, you are my husband, signaling them all of this stuff. But in reality, they are not your friend. They were never your friend. They were never your husband or wife. They are just people that are telling you so because they are coordinated by an agency that telling you that this is a market thing, that telling you all of this stuff to actually make you buy into all of their stuff, meaning that this kind of relationship that the opposing oppositions wanted, meaning that they all wanted this idea of having comfort, achieving our goal, a sense of ownership. It's always on the one-sided side of the relationship. The relationship does not mean a really long-term relationship. It's only a short-term relationship that always take you into their idea because it is coordinated like so. Before going into my argument, a couple of rebuttals. First of all, they say about the idea that how can love can exist without them, without this person existing. I believe that this is not ideal because it's not going to, number one, fulfill you emotionally. How are you going to get your emotional fulfillment by a person on the internet, even though if they're telling you like so, it's not gonna fulfill you emotionally because number one, it's not 24/7, meaning that if you have an idea or something that you feel awful or something, they're not going to be able to do so to comfort you. But again, they talk about the idea of that comfort, meaning that if in the parasocial relationship, it is a kind of relationship that is, always say yes to you, meaning that, well, this is something that we want actually in our side of the house. This kind of relationship is something that we want, meaning that, well, if you have this sort of different ideas with your partner. It's something that you want because you can talk about it. It makes you helpful becoming a better person. Going into my contributions. Number one, why? A couple of clarifications. First, parasocial. We have told my first speaker. I've already told you that it is an obsessive sort of relationship, meaning that they invest time, money to be a fan. And number two, that the idols are mass marketed as such. Going into my contributions. Number one, why it's bad for the people. So number one, you can see that it's bad for the people because people see these idols or like this celebrity as a form of God, meaning that they're going to just say yes to this kind of idols and saying, you know, when they tell you something, you're always going to say yes, buy my merch, yes, and then a lot of other stuff that without thinking about it as such. In our case, if you're what will happen is that you can say yes to a bad perspective from your idols. Say for example, Kanye West, a singer, a popular singer that around the world knows. Kanye West have recently come out saying anti-Semitic stuff, right? A very far right-wing stuff, and then you can see that the defender saying, well, it's okay. I mean, he's Kanye West, and it's okay, and etc. This is something that is wrong. You're validating something that is wrong, meaning that the people are going to getting into, say for example, radical statement or other statement that is just without any other thinking or etc. It takes away your sense of ownership in itself. B, my first speaker already told you about the idea of being betrayed. There is a difference between fans and parasocial fans. Means so, like if you are a fan of, say for example, Isyana Saraswati, and you go to their concert, and then after that concert you go home, and then that's it. You feel good about it, and that's it. But then a parasocial relationship fans knows a lot about them, goes towards the birthdays. I don't know, search a lot about their kind of idols. Meaning that there is a two difference between this. If this idol says something or do something that you did not expect, when you're going to be feel betrayed, which is going to be hurtful towards you. Why? Because you cannot interact. You cannot interact with the idols in itself. Tell them, hey, this is problematic. Even if you do, you can call them out, but it's not going to be very effective because it is not personal. In our side of the house, if your friend is betraying you, telling you, talking you behind your back, you can just tell them, hey, this is not good, stop. And then most of the time they're going to stop. B, you cannot tell that they are going to do that because, meaning that you cannot see that they are going to do that sort of actions. For example, if you see your idol acting all, pure and etc. when they do something not good, and then you cannot see that happening because they are marketed as such. Why it's bad for going to my other, why it's bad for the creator. Number one, it can damage their mental health, meaning that they cannot change because their personality is really is marketed as one. They cannot change their personality, their human side, and they're going to And then number two, it's going to limit their art itself. Say for example, if a singer likes one certain genre, and then these fans really like that kind of genre, if the fans have this conversation relationship, and what's going to happen is that they're going to fall in love with that genre in itself, limiting the artist towards that genre in itself. Furthermore, it is not a sustainable act of business. This is going to talk about, if they say about the idea that, well, they have to do this to gain business. No, it is not worth it. Why? People expected you to be always parasocial. If you were going to revolve around that parasocial side, if you saw a single misstep, you're going to be dead. Say for example, a VTuber under the agency of HoloLive TV saying that, well, there is this VTuber who's saying, okay, their business is about parasocial relationship, calling everyone husband and etc. When it is a scandal, meaning that when they show talking with another man and etc., the friend is going to be mad, and their channel are terminated because of that. So that proves our point. But lastly, what is about the emotional fulfillment? The emotional fulfillment isn't enough because there is a problem in their side. It is a false fulfillment. They think that they're fulfilled, but they're not. Because of why? Because it is a one-sided relationship, meaning that they cannot be there for you 24/7. When you cry, Taylor Swift is not going to be there and tell you that, hey, it's going to be okay. No, your emotional fulfillment is not going to be fulfilled. The alternative in our side, you can find a lot of people other source of happiness that is not person. Say for example, that does not involve social professional relationship, which is like activity based, going camping, going to UKM Debat, for example, like meeting people, and then not just a social relationship with a certain idol. At the end of the day, we get our emotional relationship, and yeah, vote for me. Thank you.
Okay, so the deputy leader of opposition spent time 7 minutes 8 seconds. Oh yes, sorry. Next. Deputy leader of opposition, please welcome Nora.
Jangan marah.
Marah nggak?
Begitu ya kalau ditinggal ya.
Cek. Relationship is something that's hard to everyone to opt into it because this in the current status quo is very competitive world and progressive society who demand you to actually pursue your career, to actually pursue your self-fulfillment, economy and money to actually compete into this competitive world itself. OG case is very dismissive under fourth reason. Firstly, they say about parasocial relationship push people to extreme relationship itself, right? We don't think so because expectation exists in both sides anyway, right? But it's going to be worse under OG cases because the demand coming from a partner it must be very hard to you to fulfill anyway because you need to appeal with your emotion of your partner itself, right? And under OO, I will never expect you anything unless you listen to the song itself, right? Toxic relationship highly exists under OG cases because under OG you push people to actually understand you well on how it is not going to be enough anyway. It's going to be never self-fulfillment anyway at the end of the day. Even if artists also demand you, but it doesn't matter, right? What we need the most on the status quo right now on how we actually as a minority people who doesn't actually opt into have agency to actually opt into relationship. At least under this parasocial relationship, we have our own coping mechanism to actually fulfill our emotional needs at the end of the day, right? Under OGO work, minority people doesn't have any emotional fulfillment. They don't have any coping mechanism to actually coping out from the problem, and the demand always push them to having a relationship, which is they don't have any agency to it, right? What they need to defend in their role, and actually on how these people can actually have a own emotional fulfillment at the end of the day. Secondly, about marketing strategy, right? We think it is okay as long as your emotional fulfillment at your past actually going to be fulfilled by your idol anyway, right? Under OG, emotional fulfillment is going to be limited anyway because comfortability is going to be coming from your partner, not coming from your interest anyway, right? Self-development happening in both sides anyway, right? But how then you will have the access to actually opt into this self-development thing. But thirdly, on how betrayal is still going to be exist in both sides, but it's going to be worse under OG because the betrayal under OO, at least you still have your own coping mechanism coming from your community, and comparatively under OG you still stay alone in your toxic relationship. There's no counterbalance coming from the cases on how you're actually coping out from your toxic relationship anyway, right? Fourthly, on how limitation of art will not going to be exist anyway outside the house because you actually understand on how your idol interests are under the song, so it's not going to be limit the art coming from idol at the end of the day. One question on this debate, whether or not parasocial relationship give you exclusive benefit for the long run at the end of the day, right? We understand that for those people who hardly appeal to the society standard because they're coming from the minority group, for example, like LGBT people who living under religious and conservative environment, it's going to be really hard for them to actually get emotional fulfillment in the long run itself, right? The only thing coming from them on how they can actually find the idol that's going to be fulfill their interest, that actually in line with their interest anyway, right? On how actually the second
problem on how the beauty standard exists to create echo chamber and exploitation to people, and actually coming from the environment itself that you actually need to fulfill opt into a relationship. Coming from a family and parents demand you to opt into marriage at the end of the day, right? What is the harm under outside the house? Two layers. First is going to be individual level, and secondly is going to be communal level. Under the individual level of harm, we believe that fans, the characteristics is already progressive and know what is the best for the artist itself. For example, supportive fans coming from status quo right now, they buy merch and take and find art for the artist itself, which is good for the development of artist itself. Right? This is create collective relationship between these artists and the fans itself. Why to begin with, fans choose opt into a relational relationship at the from the very beginning. First, they fell up into a real relationship. This is real on how real life demand them to actually opt into career and minority. But second, minority have no agency to actually opt and find their own partner at the end of the day. But even if parasocial relationship is bad, it's still just a matter outside the house, right? Because to begin with, people not live under expectation of their partner itself, right? We believe expectation in society on how you push to have, on how this society push you to have a relationship anyway, right? For example, a family expect you to have a boyfriend, immediate boyfriend, and after that you're going to be married anyway, right? If not, then you will see as someone who worthless, and this thing define you as a person, as an individual thing anyway, right? Toxic narrative push people to actually normalize having partner, not in a form of love, but in a form of egoistic view on how you fulfill society standard. This is going to be create unhealthy behavior, push people to living under unreal love life at the end of the day. Comparatively, with a parasocial relationship, people have a full authority to choose and not living under society's that standard itself. Right? This parasocial relationship being agency of coping mechanism to people to get their emotional fulfillment at the end of the day. Right? For example, Taylor Swift never expect you to remember her entire song album and not expect you and accept you anyway because you love her song and listen to her song anyway, right? But secondly, what is the manifestation of parasocial relationship under outside the house? First, this is give you emotional fulfillment on how parasocial relationship being a fast coping mechanism for you. A lot of burden, but this is not push you to actually interact with others, but idol will help you by themselves and give you affirmative word immediately. You don't need in our side of the house. The interaction is not need that Taoists know you or what or what not, but on how you listen to the song and know and get self-fulfillment at the end of the day. Secondly, about accessibility, when you having a deeply broken heart and need a fast way to having a relationship, it is never going to exist under government side of the house because it's going to be hard. At least in our side of the house, we have our presence of our idol based on our song, based on our album. But secondly, song and a word that give you a romantic word especially relax you. And lastly, on how relatability of their heart is going to be exist anyway and give you emotional fulfillment. But secondly, how it's going to be impact the idol. This is going to create self-place on how you create collaboration and human interaction to the idol and the community at the end of the day. On how the check and balance still exists under parasocial relationship itself. Right? On how even if parasocial relationship lead to toxic, at least in our side of the house, there's like cancel culture coming from the fans, cancel culture coming from the artist itself. On how fans already progressive enough to actually create petition on how they want to protect their artists anyway. Also, their friends and community give you backup anyway. But secondly, on how in a communal level, it is going to be create good manifestation. It is not going to be a limitation, a clear limitation on how you actually find your loved one at the end of the day. So proud to oppose. Thank you.
Deputy Leader of Opposition spend time 7 minutes 21 seconds. Next, Member of Government. Jadi kalau misalnya ini dia diselesaikan dulu opening sama opening, terus closing sama closing. Jadi dia terbagi benchnya atas dua itu. Sekarang itu closing bench. Please welcome Member of Government. Kak Dapa.
Oh iya.
Caca. open debate is lackluster. OG only tells you A, parasocial relationship is one-sided because your idol doesn't know that you exist. Or B, parasocial relationship is bad because idol is imperfect. OO's biggest benefit is that parasocial relationship is good because finding relationship is hard. People don't have the alternative to safe into relationships. Why they're better? We're going to explain, number one, we're going to explain why this will hamper personal growth and will never give people happiness. It gives people a false sense of protection and security. So it's way more important than OG's analysis. Secondly, OG's analysis on debunking opening opposition's biggest benefits is perfect because they never explain structurally like why finding real relationships is actually accessible. We're going to prove to you later in our arguments, right? So first argument, I'm going to talk to you about why this will not give people personal growth and happiness. Let's start personal growth. Number one, people who form strong parasocial relationships tend to be very emotionally dependent on their choosing media figures. They may turn to these relationships as a primary source of like emotional support and validation. This looks like how when people are seeking for relationship advices, they only tend to seek it from pillars of Olivia Rodrigo, for example, and they don't take it with a truckload and a grain of salt, and they don't have the incentive to scrutiny whether or not the perspectives of their idols is rational or not. Because number one, I think the info slide clearly tells you that there's already emotional bond that is irreversible and very strong. So because they resonate with, they no longer have the tendency to criticize. They really put them in a very, very high pedestal. Why this will hinder personal growth? Because the process of these people listening to the actors of the idols, they form this parasocial relationship with, they pick and choose which actors that validates their emotion and their judgment. Probably in your relationship, you're the bad guy, but you're being denial because Taylor Swift told you it's okay to act irrational, right? In a relationship. Therefore, people who hop into a parasocial relationship cannot grow as a person. Secondly, note that artists and idols are not perfect. They are bound to make mistakes and causes controversy. Their judgment is not perfect. Probably your idol supports women empowerment, but they do not care about the partner, for example, or vice versa. So what happens when your idol creates a controversy? You're going to be in a constant emotional turmoil because you really look upon your idol. You always expect them to behave perfectly. When you see that your idol blunders, there's two scenarios. Number one, either you're going to validate their behaviors and act like a neighbor, and you say, "Slay queen, you rock." Secondly, you know that they are wrong, so you want to change their behavior. This looks like how, when Taylor Swift is rumored to date Betty Healy, a lot of Swifties shares in their social media that they will sell back their Speak Now album because Taylor doesn't break off the relationship. Why is this bad adjustment? Because it creates identity distortion, where people may start to blur the lines between their own identity and of the media personalities they're emotionally invested into, right? They will probably dilemma self-blame, just like how a lot of the 1975 fans are having a dilemma to themselves that they are still listening to 1975, but at the same time still acknowledging that Betty's behavior is bad. But before that,
when you love someone blindly in real life, what is different? Especially when the real person has been manipulative to you than the effects that CG offer and also when they happen.
We're going to prove to you later why in real life relationship there's an incentive for people to not impose that kind of expectations, right? We're going to prove to you later. Let's engage to opening opposition, right? Here's the thing. Now I've said that artists doesn't impose unreasonable expectations. This is true, but we think that expectations and standards and how you should devote yourself to your idols is entrenched and heavily emphasized by the fans who form parasocial relationships as well, right? So there's a competition. So like say for example, you can only relate to Taylor Swift if you buy all of their albums and buy all of their finals, for example. There's an inherent competition. So people will never be truly as happy and be satisfied because there's always a standard that you will not always fulfill in parasocial relationships. So, a number of analysis about why artists is better and will not be irrational is not true, right? Here's the thing. OG did mention that artists are imperfect, so the emotional bond is imperfect. But we're going to steal their argument instead and explain why structurally you cannot control the behavior of your artist. Number one, OG only told you that you cannot control your idol's behavior because you cannot meet with them. We're going to tell you can control your idol's behaviors because you grow up in a different environment, you grow up in a different family, you grow up in a different household, you grow up in a different country, so there's different cultures as well. So you both already have a pre-established rationale, right? But secondly, even if there is relatability, we think that those relatability is imperfect because the way you form relatability to the idols is through their artworks. We think that artworks tends to be fabricated. It's never perfect. It doesn't necessarily assume that the artworks of the artist depicts and illustrates the true personality of their artist. This looks like how, in 2018, Taylor Swift opt into pop politics when she constantly promotes Democrats to be voted, right? This is very predatory because they can use it into personality, knowing that if I do this, then my fans will opt into this. So it's going to incentivize these artists to be narcissists, and therefore, because we already told you that the fans will never be satisfied, there will never be happiness, there will never be personal growth. Second argument, I'm going to talk to you about how people build relationships. Here's the thing. Number one, finding a relationship in status quo is not that hard, ladies and gentlemen. People right now are starting to be more progressive, and they're starting to be more tolerant towards each other. Because right now, there's a bare minimum standard on how you should treat people. So, like, say for example, you always have to compliment people. You always have to validate. You always have to compliment them when they achieve something, or you always have to check up on your friends whenever there's struggles, right? So there's still an incentive for people to make relationships accessible. This looks like on how in organizations and companies, there are standards on companies how should establish a very positive and constructive working environment. This also looks like in organization as well. For example, like in every meetings, you have to check up on your teammate, for example, knowing what are they doing right now, right? But secondly, let's engage about the financial burden that established by the operating opposition. I think the case about Uang Panai is really exclusive because number one, Uang Panai is subjective because not everyone forces a high financial burden on their partner. There is a lot of people who want to be financially independent. But secondly, even if financially it's hard, it's going to be financially hard for you to opt into parasocial relationship as well because you're going to continue spending your money to enjoy the artworks of your artist. You're going to spend your money to buy your tickets, for example. Here's the thing. It's on your side of the house, you're always going to push people off. You're always going to push people off or push people who doesn't fulfill the same standards that your artists fulfill. So you're going to live in a false sense of security and false sense of protection. What do we prove to you this week? We prove to you this harm personal growth, and will never give you happiness. And we prove to you why there is likely for you to find relationships. We're very proud to propose.
Okay, so member of government spends time 7 minutes 32 seconds. Next, member of opposition, please welcome Nail.
Okay.
Check.
My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Getting into a relationship and the love or happiness that you can receive are a commodity that are not equally accessible to every level of society. How are we going to be different than all? Okay, we are going to give you the insight as to why loneliness is so harmful to the point where emotional fulfillment is so important to get from parasocial. Something that is only explained by LOS as something that exists, but don't give us examples of it. Second, we'll also explain why we get a better in the term industry, something that is not explained by all at all. 3 pieces of framing on why that is. First, the beauty standards are created by society with requirements in which you have to follow in order to access conversation to begin with. If you're not attractive or maybe even just average looking, you will have a hard time finding people that want to have a relationship with you. This doesn't exist within parasocial relationship where you don't see artists and idols, but who cannot be their fans based on their attractiveness or any other athletics, for example. In both sides, symmetrically, you cannot necessarily change beauty standards. Therefore, when you are unable to pass the beauty standards of society, but parasocial relationship exists for you as a coping mechanism to get happiness. Second, if you have gender or sexual minority that lives within a very heteronormative society where your identity is not socially acceptable, you cannot just easily come out of the closet and explain your identity to a stranger. Dating apps is not necessarily a good alternative for finding emotional fulfillment, because people that tend to go there are people who want to have a one night stand, for example. That what is not accessible in status quo is emotional fulfillment. 3. In status quo, people are trapped in a cycle of capitalism where they are forced to spend most, if not all of their time to be productive and work all the time. Everyone knows that, for example, like students are, for example, forced to study all the time and not pursue a romantic relationship. Meaning that it's to the point where you cannot access a relationship or have your relationship broken down because you are so busy to begin with. Therefore, government explanation on why that relationship is not accessible, because there's still incentive for you to check on your partner, simply not true because you're so busy all the time. All of this doesn't necessarily mean that parasocial relationships are a replacement for normal relationships to begin with, but it is an alternative towards those who are a victim of a cruel world to get an emotional fulfillment, otherwise they could not get. Why is it so problematic then? There are social expectations within society that have internalized that social interaction is inherently good and you must always interact with others. But the fact that not everyone has the same capability and opportunity to exercise interactions when people are going to achieve some fulfillment, this means people are going to stuck in a cycle of being empty and sad in their own loneliness. Parasocial relationship therefore exists as a viable alternative of coping mechanism. For characteristics of parasocial relationship. 1. Parasocial relationship are not stagnant. It has evolved to the point where people no longer have unrealistic expectations of celebrities. Look at, for example, Korean idols. It is not their fans who oftentimes criticize them when they get fat, for example. It is society in general that criticizes them. Fans, on the other hand, oftentimes come to defend and protect their idols because they have a bias towards their fans. Second, when it comes to weird and criminal behavior that OG talks about, most fans already knows and rational enough to know they're stalking or bad, and it's a criminal behavior. That often fans are not going to be fans or celebrities that doesn't match their political ideology to begin with. Why? So celebrities oftentimes have their political ideology often out in the open. Comparatively, in normal relationship, often at the start you don't know anything about the political ideology of your friends, right? Only when you have been friends for a long time, then the real identity of your friends or partner are visible to you. It's actually on their side where people have certain expectations that are likely to be unmet. 4. Even in situations when fans want to liberal, for example, still likes a conservative celebrity, fans already with consent sacrifice the fact that you may not have the same political ideology, but still choose to be fans because their artworks brings them so much happiness to begin with, therefore not necessarily have any expectations towards their idol. 2 rebuttals in my speech. They talk about how lack of affirmation and interaction exists. No, this is not true. 2 reasons why. We need that the existence of events like fan signings and meetups is a form of manifestation of their love towards their fans. Second, knowing that our love towards celebrities is actually the reciprocal affection that we give thanks to the happiness that we receive from listening to their artworks. I get happiness from listening to Twice, for example, therefore I give them love as a thank you. Second, they talk about addiction, etc. First, no, this is not true. Human beings are always social creatures that always seek social interactions. Therefore, when they finally have access to real life relationship, they're going to opt out of parasocial and opt into real life relationship. Secondly, that addiction is okay because they have no alternative anyway due to social reasons. It's okay for me to love Twice or Blackpink because I cannot get different anyway. Therefore, there are no harm to, for example, be addicted, right? They talk about, second, there are no personal growth as well. Meaning that no, this is not exclusive. Things like emotional dependent, confirmation bias to pick and choose also exists within no relationship. The emotional dependence towards your crush, for example, because you're so madly in love, and the only way for you to get happiness is when you see your crush. Therefore, when you're madly in love, you also tend to pick and choose what characteristics, and often you also ignore the red flags of your crush, for example. 2 arguments then. First, why happiness are more accessible in our side. Second, why we are going to spend, why we are going to have a better illusion. The 3 framing that I gave you prove that love and relationship itself is not something that everyone can get. This is problematic because sadness or other effects of loneliness and not having a relationship is cumulative. That is to say, the longer you stuck in that scenario, the more sadness you're going to feel because it stacks on top of each other. Therefore, the impacts of having better accessibility is a faster way of getting happiness is so urgent. The happiness that you get from listening to their artworks or even having someone to look up to give you the ability to fill the void within yourself. Of course, you can get this in normal relationship, but it will be 100% to manifest anyway. Second, the existence of parasocial relationship is not going to make it very easier for you to get normal relationship to begin with. Why is this the case? Two explanations. First, when you're stuck in a period of sadness, it's very hard for you to open up yourself to society in general, especially strangers. The insecurity that you get from not having a normal relationship to begin with, you feel as if you don't deserve to have any sort of relationship. When you have a relative in periods when you are sad, for example, thanks to personal relationship, after you break up, for example, it gives you a coping mechanism in which one, you have someone to talk to, someone to tell you, someone to call your problems. Second, the artworks that you consume gives you a sense of relatability that makes you feel not alone. Third, the presence of your idol in the media, for example, that you see every day also gives you happiness. Why the creation of community that exists? Because the intrinsic nature of personal relationship also makes it easier for you to have more access to a global relationship. Parasocial relationship is a collective interaction between friends and idols. What does this mean? Because parasocial relationships are not monogamous by any means, it means that multiple people can have parasocial relationship with the same idol. It creates a fandom or community of friends that have the same interests, for example, like Blink or for example, or Rush. Why is this then so important? The existence of validations and support about their problems through these communities exists as a platform for them to have safe space for them to interact with one another. The existence of collaboration also increases happiness or reasons for zero.
Member of opposition, spend time 7 minutes 28 seconds. Next, government whip. Please welcome Rico.
These are my papers. Okay, starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. For far too long, parasocial relationships have become the ultimate machine of capitalism in a world where everyone is restless, just like they explained it, and will absorb any sort of entertainment like a sponge. Even worse, when it's laced with affection, emotions, the sense of belonging and exclusivity. How the market plays and exploits raw emotions and how the community normalizes it because it's frequently occur when so many young women think that they will actually marry Zayn Malik or Taylor Swift as their best friend. None of the opposition side of the house has ever defended how vile the normalization of this has become, even after my first speaker has explained to you how simply it is even principally unjustified to begin with. How it's completely fine to just be a fan, let's say. I understand that Prime Minister brought this up earlier, but they never explained why this is very important, right, judges? Because the check and balance will always be better. Because you will only saw them as a singer you love, as an actor you adore for their works, as Adam has explained, not as a best friend or a boyfriend that usually you would put a blind eye on. It hinders your personal growth, it minimizes your rationality, being spoon-fed with the things that you choose to hear. Because Twitch streamers can be very, very funny, and then you think everyone in this whole world is as funny as them, and then you don't want to make friends with people who is not as funny as your Twitch streamers. How, like, let's say Taylor Swift putting out songs like Anti-Hero, Olivia Rodrigo, like Traders, and then you have Miley Cyrus with Flowers. These songs are so relatable, and this is exactly the things that you want to hear, and this is what they spoon-fed to you, and this is what you keep on asking for more, and you think that you relate to them. Well, no, they're just writing songs because that will make you feel like, we're friends and so on and so forth, but they make millions out of it, and you get, what, relatability? Okay, moving on. I will compare why, at the end of the day, we are much still better than the OG side of the house, okay? Panel let me issue up by all the reasons CG must be ranked above OG. OG will make some great points. Firstly, they explain the hard, but far too extreme, like being stalled, or obviously your idol don't know you exist and it's funny, but under opposing government, Kadafa has explained to you that the base of why is this harming fans internally, how this disrupt the essence of happiness of an individual, how this could blur their identity and their decision making, how artists could be a narcissist and predatory under their power. Ultimately, panels, their case can only run under ours. Secondly, expecting
expectations on relationship and how people won't be able to indulge in one. But the shallow analysis didn't even give us any alternative coming from their side. Even if they mention it, there's no explanation, no underlying reasons, no mechanizations, only under opposing government. Thirdly, fans are irrational, and they barely talk about how these idols might do something wrong, and it will be validated. Of course, it is true, and we also acknowledge it, but again, there is no explanation whatsoever, and all the underlying reasons are also coming from opposing government. We go as far and beyond, deeply analyzing panels. We even bite the bullet, and my first speaker has explained to you why even these celebs and online figures who are toxic will still have the incentive to change, even without indulging their friends into their relationship. And we admit that not all of them are mature enough, or nor they are saints, and we have explained to you why it is still okay if they stay problematic on their own. Even, let's move to opposition. Even if opposition best case of how there are contracts for artists, if somehow, I don't know, they want to bring that up, they are openly protected just because it's what's done doesn't mean it's what should be done, because how fans can also still be irrational under opening opposition. My first speaker has explained to you how it is impossible inherently to be rational, and they have to swallow the bitter pill that they're displaying under the best case that is absolutely too idealistic and too rare to begin with. Couple responses towards opening opposition. One, the problem in status quo is the standard for relationship in real life. Like Wang Panay, Adipati Dolken stuff like beauty, there's no judgment, so it's basically easier to opt into this parasocial relationship. Well, then they cannot even explain how they can have a fulfilling life with only their love for their idols, when the context of the motion already stated that there was only very limited real life interaction. We are real people. So you're basically having a forever LDR with someone you can probably call only through online fan sites, like 2 times a year, and you have to buy like 20 copies of albums to get to that fan site, right? Very expensive to call my lover. 2, not directly want to marry, because I only love Nadine Anissa in our mind. Panel, this is straight up a half stance. I love all my idols in my mind, but what differs it from parasocial relationship, mind you, judges, relationship, you don't have relationship in your head, okay? You actually indulge your entire self there. So OO is not playing fair. They have to prove why actually thinking that your idol is your actual soon-to-be husband with a strong emotional bond. I remind you, it's okay and it's not insane. Cancel culture won't exist under their side with their own logic. Certainly, you cannot rely on your friends and family, and people are so lonely because of this. Well, how much can you actually rely to your idols as well? Kadafa has explained how those celebrities can make mistakes all the time, how they're not perfect. Basically, they make controversies, they do probably things that you don't like. Even 1975 fans are being in a dilemma, like Kadafa has explained to you about the man healing, controversy, so on and so forth. So all of those things didn't even matter. The backup community, because the status quo is progressive, absolutely not accessible, because when you think that NCT Genuine is your boyfriend, you actually dwell into that belief. Hell no, you won't share them with other friends. The whole argument about engaging in the community is only relying on either their half stance arguments or their best case. Now, moving on to closing. Well, passing opposition. Because people are so lonely, that's why parasocial relationship is important. Okay, but of course, standards is not imposed by the artist. They say because, oh, you can just opt in because there's no standards. But what they forgot, standards are imposed by the other fans. Minority fans will always be excluded, and the world will always go against you. When white fans of Beyonce goes out in the world, the entirety of the fandom, which is most probably will be black, disown these white fans, and now you will feel excluded. You're not as friendly enough with Beyonce as the other one. Secondly, they talked about how sick and busy the world has become, right? Well, the world has also become very progressive. I believe that Kadafa has already preemptively talked about how relationship is essentially very, very accessible. Societal norms still exist regardless. This is why relationship is of course accessible. You have to make friends in school. You have to make friends in your job, because you have to always work in groups. You might fall in love with your coworker, who knows? In their side, there's not even an incentive to try out and seek for real-life relationship. You cut it out directly. Even what's coping mechanism, such as finding out maybe hobbies, so on and so forth, will also blacklisted because, oh, I have my amazing, perfect boyfriend and best friend in my phone. Like, why should I go out and try debating? Why should I go out and try painting? Like all those things want to exist on the other side of the house. You cut out amazing friends, possibilities, amazing partners, and amazing hobbies. So proud to live in this.
Okay. So our government will spend time 7 minutes 26 seconds. Next, let's hear our please welcome Kak. Please welcome Kak Haikal as opposition whip.
Okay.
Dino.
It's gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Within this easy characterization about the capitalistic world, we say in CO exactly because this is a capitalistic world. They fail to explain why people are not having an alternative in having a normal social life when each and every one of you are very busy with your phone, very busy with your college, and not having time to checking in to your friends. That is why opting into this parasocial relationship is the only option that we have to make sure that you are sane, to make sure that you are having sanity where everyone and any mental state of you is very unexpected. In the morning you can be very happy, in the middle of the night suddenly at 3 a.m. you are very stressed thinking about life and your existence in this universe, right? What are a very exclusive thing that makes our day winning today? First, we are going to explain to you why this is the only option for you to opting into this relationship when there is no alternative anymore. Second, why not only become critics about the industry and how toxic or not toxic the artists are, we are going to making it a force to a greater industry which all entire opposition and entire government cannot explain to you. What are exactly our delta and our differences from the opening oppositions? The explanation on how suffering the people in status quo, how suffering Gen Z for not having the interaction with Jungkook, for example. In our house, we are going to explain to you why this is also giving the boost of us to increase our motivation to having better forces in life and why this is also important. Independent rebuttal towards the government team. We are talking about the security of the artists from the opening government, which just scrap this argument from the debate because if they're talking about stalking, it's the crime and also we're also against that. The sense of check and balance and the sense of how parasocial behavior in status quo is evolving and rising. For example, in 2023, all the BTS and Blackpink fans are considered to not breaching the privacy of the artist. They are also believe that it is very harmful to the artist, and they are believe that it is for the betterment of the artist. We should force to having a greater approaches and greater mannerism towards the artist. If we are really love the artist and we are seeing Lisa Blackpink is our wife, for example, and that is the healthier forces to the relationship. Second of all, the community that become toxic, as explained by Maria, they say that because they are going to be a one-sided claim that this person is my husband, this person is my wife, and etc. We say that no, they are not explaining why the discourse about making Jungkook is my husband is that harmful in practicality. They're just explaining why this person is my husband and this person is wife could be very happen, but not explaining why is that phenomenon is happening. It is very also harmful in the practicalities. Because I never seen once that they are stabbing each other with a real knife, for example, as I'm claiming Jungkook is my husband. So this argument is very light on the practicality, why it is becoming harmful in real life and there is no explanation. So that's all the explanation from the governments of the house about what is the most harmful in the practicalities. For example, if we're talking about personal growth and we're talking about anything, we are questioning them what is harmful in the real life. What is the clash? First, the most intuitive thing, yes, we're going to talk about personal growth. CG comes and convinces you, all you guys, about how you are possibly dependent towards the idol, and it hampers your ability to increase your capabilities and strip away your capability to become happy. Here's our response. As long as you are happy, we don't see how it is hard. And something hard, because happiness, it is something that is emergency, and you always need a shot of happiness in this very sad and miserable world. You are sad because your girlfriend or your boyfriend dumped you. You are sad because your lecturer giving you E score, for example. Because you are very sad, you need happiness, and you suddenly turning on the song of Second by Jungkook, for example, and you are suddenly happy. So that's the case. Limited interaction of the artist give second explanation why this can pushes the personal growth as opposed from what governments are saying, because limited interaction of the artist gives huge incentive for the fans to do better in their life, because they see artists as a milestone. For example, watching Blackpink in Tokyo Dome and TVXT in Grand Nissan Japan Stadium can be seen as an achievement from the said individual to forces them to having a greater good in life, because I want to meet my wife, or because I want to also meet with my husband, for example. This could be a driving force for us to move, not as characterized by the governments at the house, why it can suddenly push down because they cannot say any practicalities as to why you are going to be harmful in the very first place, right? So second clash, the dynamic of one-sided relationship. OG say that it is not become a reciprocal affirmation and interactions, and you claim that you seems to like to know your artist, basically, right? Our response as simple as this. This is basically when you love your crush in general. When you see your seniors and you love them, simply you become loving them and you claim that you know this senior's favorite food, for example, and you claim this is okay for you to do so. It's the same example as you are liking your artist, for example. If I claim that I'm in love with certain idol and I claim that I know where he sleeps last night, for example, it is okay, because it is also a serotonin, and it's only just a boost in your mind, and you claim that it is okay for you to love your crush, for example, and assuming that what is exactly happening to your head. In comparison in our side, and in their side, they are always and automatically assuming that this thought process, it is a thought process that is harmful, and one-sided relationship is something that you cannot explain to you in the side of the house, and you are claiming that this is also very damaging in the eyes of liking your artist in that matters, right? So, third clashes. Artists as the coping mechanism. I don't necessarily understand the engagement from the entire government or claiming why, and also the opening opposition about the importance of having said artists become your coping mechanism. But my first speaker already told you that in a world where you are very hard to interact with another person, in a world when you are suddenly very busy with your activity, when because you are forced to work, because you are forced to having a college, for example, the argument coming from DAFA about you are continuously checking out or checking into your friends, and you are continuously becoming interactive with your friends, it is not becoming possible anymore. Why? Because in this time, not even taking care of my friends, taking care of myself, I cannot. So in this debate, or in this conclusion, I'm going to talk to you artists, the best coping mechanism, because they are sharing platform, they are sharing arts that indulge our relatability towards the issues that we are going to face in the current moment, and also they are becoming an alternative to our suffer that we are enduring in the real world. In conclusion, we are successful to prove to you that not only it is becoming a platform to become a coping mechanism, the growth also can be increasing outside the house, and that is why you should come to support opposition and welcome to heads.
Spend time 7 minutes 33 seconds. Okay.